The air inside the tomb tasted of stagnant sand and 3 millennia of suffocating silence. The young pharaoh stood before the cyclopean stone door, his torch casting jagged, frantic shadows against the cavern walls. He reached out, fingers trembling as they brushed away a heavy mantle of dust. As the grit fell, the stone beneath his palm began to hum a low, rhythmic vibration that traveled up his arm. Suddenly, the hieroglyphics carved into the rock pulsed with a sickly golden light, reacting to his proximity. He wiped away more debris, revealing a warning etched deep into the granite. Whoever awakens the sleeping king will release eternal darkness. He paused, breath hitching in the dry, stale air. The hunger for the throne burned hotter than the dread of the prophecy. He pressed his palm flat against the cold, vibrating surface. Beneath his skin, the tomb groaned. The seal was breaking. Dust cascaded from the ceiling, choking the air as the massive door shuddered. It ground against stone, receding into the earth, with a sound like shifting tectonic plates. The pharaoh stepped back, shielding his eyes as the opening revealed a void that smelled of ozone and ancient decay. He moved forward, his boots crunching on pulverized rock. As he crossed the threshold, the silence shattered. With a sharp, synchronized hiss, fire bowls lining the walls ignited in a burst of unnatural blue flame. The sudden heat flared against his skin, forcing him to stumble back and drop his torch. He stood frozen, watching the shadows dance over murals of forgotten wars and blood-soaked rituals. The statues of black basalt towered above him, their faces smoothed by time but their presence heavy with malice. The hallway ended abruptly at a second gate, massive and imposing. A colossal statue of Anubis stood guard, its stone surface pitted by the weight of centuries. The pharaoh stopped, his breath ragged, the blue flames behind him casting long, distorted shapes against the gate. He reached out to touch the stone, but stopped as the statue shifted. With a sound like grinding tectonic plates, the Anubis head turned. Its eyes snapped open, glowing with a malevolent, piercing light that cut through the gloom. The pharaoh recoiled, his heels digging into the marble floor, but there was nowhere to retreat. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of ozone. The gate began to groan, the stone groaning in protest as it swung wide. He stood paralyzed as the entrance to the inner sanctum revealed itself, a vast, cavernous expanse of gold and shadow. The light from the hallway spilled into the room. He took a step forward, then another, his boots clicking sharply against the polished floor. Each sound was swallowed by the immense silence of the room. He was trapped between the crushing weight of his own greed and a primal, rising fear that made his pulse hammer against his ribs. He looked into the dark and stepped into the heart of the tomb. The pharaoh crossed the vast expanse, his boots clicking sharply against the cold marble. He stopped at the foot of the dais. In the center, a figure sat motionless upon a throne of obsidian. Dust coated the surface of the king, a gray veil over the stillness of ages. The pharaoh held his breath, waiting for a sign, for a pulse, for anything. Then, it happened. The king's index finger twitched, a sharp rhythmic scrape against the obsidian armrest. The pharaoh froze, his muscles locking in place. The king's eyelids fluttered, then snapped wide, revealing eyes that burned like molten gold. The air in the room instantly curdled. A shock wave of raw, dark energy erupted from the throne. A physical force that hit the pharaoh like a wall of wind. Stone pillars surrounding the dais cracked and groaned, then exploded into jagged debris. The ceiling shivered, raining dust and rock onto the floor. In the chaos, the flame of his torch flickered violently, died. The room vanished into an absolute, suffocating blackness. Silence returned, heavier than before. The pharaoh stood motionless, his lungs burning as he pulled in thin, stale air. He could not see his own hands. He could not see the floor beneath his boots. Every sense sharpened in the void. He listened. A sound emerged from the center of the room, a slow, rhythmic rasp of air. It was the sound of a chest expanding after 3 millennia of stillness. Then, the darkness shifted. 2 points of light ignited in the gloom, burning with a steady, piercing intensity. Ancient eyes judged him. Pharaoh froze, legs bound. There was no escape from the shadow he had invited. There was only the gold, the dark, and the end.